Hi, welcome to the Bible Standard, where you are guaranteed in-depth Bible study and analysis. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and drop a comment in the comments area to have your say, and we'll do our best to reply.
The apostle of our Lord Jesus Christ, Simon Peter. And we're going to focus on the period of his life after the resurrection of his Lord. And we're going to start in John 21. You come with me there, please, to John 21. And it's a good place to start because in this resurrection appearance of the Lord Jesus, Peter has a prominence at every turn, and his personality leaps out at us from just this sprinkling of verses. And if we needed a refresher on him, this is the perfect place because we are joining him halfway through his story, aren't we? So we're in John 21, and 7 of the disciples are in Galilee by appointment of the Lord after his resurrection, waiting for him. And we'll just read a few verses together so that we can tune in to this beloved brother. Verse 3 of John 21 says, Simon Peter saith unto them, I go a-fishing. They say unto him, we also go with thee. They went forth and entered into a ship immediately, and that night they caught nothing. But when the morning was now come, Jesus stood on the shore, but the disciples knew not that it was Jesus. Then Jesus said unto them, Children, have ye any meat? They answered him, No. And he said to them, Cast the net on the right side of the ship, and ye shall find. They cast therefore, and now they were not able to draw it in, for the multitude of fishes. And we know that in verse 7, it's John who perceives first that it's the Lord. And then Peter girt his fisher's coat onto him, and he dived into the sea. Now, in all of that, brothers and sisters, Peter has a prominence, doesn't he? We see him. We have an anatomy of the man. His personality exhibited. You can't miss it. For example, in verse 3, we saw that he has a natural leadership ability. You know, when he says, I go a-fishing, he doesn't say, shall we go fishing? Or what do you think? What's the consensus? He says, I'm going fishing. And they say, we come with you. He is a natural leader of others. He doesn't need the assurance of others in the same way most of us do. He has a self-assurance that means he can lead. And he's a man of energy and action, not given to waiting around, wants to seize opportunities as they present. And we also see in that verse that he is, as he is in the Gospels, the spokesman for the other apostles. He says what they are thinking. And we can prove that because when we look at examples like Luke 8, where the Lord is touched by the woman with the issue of blood, we're told there, after the Lord says, someone touched me, Peter said, Master, the multitude throng thee and press thee, and sayest thou, who touched me? But when we look at the parallel account in Mark 5, it says his disciples said that. And his disciples did say that through the mouthpiece of Peter. He speaks for them. What they're all thinking, he says. And he's a good spokesman because he is open and honest and transparent. He says what everyone's thinking. I dare hazard in John 21, they were also thinking, shall we go fishing? But he says it. And we're grateful for people like that, aren't we, brothers and sisters? We're grateful for people who say what everyone is thinking. In most situations, in a learning environment, we're very grateful for people like that because when they do say what everyone's thinking, we then get to sit back and watch what would have happened to us if we'd been brave enough to say the thing that we're also thinking. And oftentimes, Simon Peter does find himself in some warm water, doesn't he? That the Lord says, Simon Peter, are you also without understanding? And when that happened, the other disciples recognized they were without understanding, and they're learning through what's happening in Simon Peter's conversation. And that's true of us, isn't it, brothers and sisters? We watch Simon Peter. We see his missteps at times. We see him saying the thing that we might want to say. And in his interactions with the Lord, we learn a great deal. So he's very helpful to us in that regard. We also see in verse 7, in terms of John, the two would work together in the Acts of the Apostles, would go on a preaching mission together, even though only half a verse is given to us on it. They would work together, and often the disciples, well, they were always in advance of the other, weren't they? John was ahead in perception. Peter was ahead in spirited action, as in chapter 20 at the empty tomb. And so they're going to learn from one another in their work together. We also see that Peter's desire to be with his Lord is greater than anything else in his environment. It didn't matter that he was surrounded by water. Once he saw that it was the Lord, he's in the water. Well, he's not quite straight away in the water, and we'll see why even he had to stop for a moment before he dived in. But everything else fades. The Lord is primary, everything else is secondary. And in that, we see perhaps a certain forgetfulness, and I wouldn't want to put it any stronger than that, but a forgetfulness of others and the situation in the moment of pursuing his Lord. You know, he left them just after they caught the fish. So he left the fish, he left the boat, he left the disciples. He's in the water fast as he can to the Lord. Well-intentioned, but they're left behind, aren't they? And we see he's willing to be of use in the Lord's service. What can I do when he strides over and pulls up the net, draws it in? I'm ready for action and service. And perhaps we also see in that a certain degree of self-belief. He is prepared to act alone, doesn't always see that he needs others. He's able to do it. And so then we have in what is really just 11 verses, masterfully drawn by the Spirit, a portrait of this wonderful man with all his humanity on show, the man chosen by the Lord Jesus Christ. And so we gratefully and eagerly read of him and of how his Lord worked with him and through him. And there is that dual aspect in the Acts of the Apostles, isn't there? That the Lord is working through Peter as his apostle. He is speaking through him and working through him. But he's also working with Peter, because Peter is still a disciple. That although he will speak the word of God, he needs to hear that word as well and continue growing and learning and reflecting his master. So we see that in the Acts. Now at this point in John 21, there is something hanging over Peter, isn't there? And it's the thing that hangs over us all. And that is the disconnect that there is in our lives between what is professed and then what is said and done in the reality when what is professed is put to the test. He had professed a great deal to his Lord and before his brethren, hadn't he? And then when it came to it, there was a disconnect. And that is over him, because he had a great commission, didn't he? And publicly then, that there was that denial, and that is in the air now. What's to happen to Peter in light of that denial? Because when we act in a way that undermines what we profess, it does take the credibility of that profession away, doesn't it? And we all know the reality of that. But before we look in any more detail at chapter 21, just want to catch up with the Apostle Peter and the things that have happened since the resurrection. So just to rehearse where he is. So after the resurrection, we know that he went with John to look in the empty tomb after Mary Magdalene told him that it was empty. And he was puzzled by what he saw. But soon after, there were messages conveyed via Mary Magdalene and the women to the apostles. And those messages included the words, "He is risen," which explained the empty tomb. And we might wonder where our faith would be without those words, "He is risen." And also the messages from the vision of angels, "Tell his disciples and Peter." And I think, brothers and sisters, he would have been encouraged by that he has been named, and it's his new name that the Lord gave him when he first met him in John 1, that he gave him and then didn't use effectively for the rest of the gospel record. He uses it now via the angels, via the women. There would have been in that darkness some hope enter into his heart. And then much more powerful than messages from angels, the same women, Mary Magdalene and the other women, become direct witnesses of the risen Lord, don't they? And they're not saying now that they've got messages from angels, but we have seen the risen Lord. And the Lord gives messages to Peter and the others. He says, "Go to my brethren and say to them, I ascend to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God. Go tell my brethren that they go into Galilee and there shall they see me." And that would have encouraged Peter too. The fact that they were called brethren by the Lord, these men who had abandoned him and who had denied him, He's calling them his brethren still. How gracious. And also this, that he said, go into Galilee, and there shall you see me. So Peter knew then that he wouldn't just be in this situation of having to rely on the witness of others that the Lord is risen, because he is going to see the risen Lord and go into the world and witness to them that the Lord is alive. And the way this happened, it meant that there was this short period where Peter and the others were in the position that the world would be in, not having seen the Lord, but hearing the testimony of those who had. Mary Magdalene had, the other women had. And so he was, for this brief period, hearing that witness, able then to sympathize with those he would witness to, because he did not believe their testimony, did he? For that short period. And then at some point in all of this, the most wonderful thing happened. And the Lord Jesus Christ appeared to Peter personally and privately. It's a pivotal but quiet moment, isn't it? It's not recorded in the detail, just in the fact that the Lord appeared to him. There weren't many who could say that. And it's hard for us to imagine, isn't it, the emotion that Peter must have had at that meeting with his Lord. Doubtless, he would have said to his Lord, I'm so sorry for what I did. And from that, no doubt, he received some personal reassurance and reestablishment. And then after that, of course, he meets with the 11, first of all, without Thomas, and then with Thomas. So there has been these resurrection appearances. There has been all these messages when we get to John 21. So by this point then, he believes Jesus is alive, he has seen him, and he's likely received a measure of private reassurance and restoration. But he hasn't yet been publicly restored in front of the other disciples. So there's a few questions in the air and some uncertainty about his future role. He had a great commission. Where is that now? And of course, the Lord wanted to meet them there for a great preparatory lesson for the work that was ahead of them. And these questions will be answered in John 21. So we come in then to this section again and learn these lessons. Now, in its simplest form, brethren and sisters, the lesson on Tiberius was that there is utter failure without Christ. That when he's not there, when we act on our own initiative, they decided to go into the lake. They did it under their own steam. They toiled all night and they caught not a single fish, did they? That without Christ, there is failure. But with him, when he is present and his words are heard and acted upon and followed, there can be abundant success beyond what they can fathom, pun intended. When they listen to the Lord and follow what he says, there is great success, but without him, they can expect failure. And I think the Lord knew they would start fishing, and it would provide the scene for all these lessons to come out. And it's right that they did, because this is what they're about to do. They're about to sail out into Tiberias. Only John calls the Lake of Galilee Tiberias, making it a symbol of the empire. They're about to sail out into that empire and cast forth the gospel net and be fishers of men. That is what they were about to do, that they're doing now in symbol. And when they do that, when Peter does that, they must never think that they can do it in their own strength, on their own initiative, in their own time frames, but have the Lord's commands with them. And that's reflected in what the Lord calls them. Did you notice what the Lord called them when he calls out to them? Did he call brethren? He called out children in verse 5. Now that's not the normal word for child in John. It's actually used in chapter 16 for newborn babes who are helpless and immature and lack understanding. Paul uses it that way in 1 Corinthians 14. He says, brethren, be not children in understanding. So there was compassion in calling them children, but there was also a sober assessment of the reality that they can't do it alone. Even when they do it the right way, even when they cast in the net on the right-hand side, they still can't do more than he asked them to, can they? Because you notice in verse 6, it says, cast the net on the right side. They cast therefore, and now they were not able to draw it for the multitude of fishes. He hadn't said draw it. He just said you'll find them. So they can't go beyond what he's told them to do. When they try, they can't. They can't draw it in. And the reason they can't draw it has to do with the nature of drawing fish to the land and the nature of that work. Because, brothers and sisters, who is it who draws men and women out of the sea of nations to the land of promise? Well, come back with me to John chapter 6 and just see who it is who draws men and women to the Lord Jesus Christ. We know this. It is, of course, the Father. John 6, verse 44 says, "No man can come to me except the Father which hath sent me draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day." Now, this word draw only comes 8 times in the New Testament. 5 of them are in John. 2 of them are in John 21. This was the first one. Come and look at the second one, John 12 and verse 32, same word. The Lord says, "And I, if I be lifted up from the earth, will draw all unto me." So it is the work of the Father, and it's the sacrificial work of the Son, which is the work of the Father, that draws men and women to the Lord Jesus Christ. It is not our work, principally. And so they were not able to draw the fish in. We are but laborers together with God, as Paul puts it in 1 Corinthians 3. But then oddly, back in chapter 21, Simon Peter somehow is able to, because come back to chapter 21, it says in verse 11 that Simon Peter went up and drew the net to land full of great fishes. How is Simon Peter able to do that when the others weren't able? And how seemingly on his own? Was it just superhuman strength? Well, the answer is in verse 10. Jesus saith unto them, "Bring of the fish which ye have now caught." So now they're following the Lord's words and instructions, and they are able to do it because it's his work. And we succeed when we follow his words and his guidance. Now, there's a very interesting little additional point here, brothers and sisters, about drawing for Peter. Now, I know you wouldn't have done the math, but I said 5 occurrences, we looked at 4. There's one more. And it's Simon Peter who draws. See if someone can tell us this. What is it that Simon Peter draws just a couple of chapters prior to this? I don't have one, but yes, he draws his sword. Look at chapter 18, and there at verse 10, it says, "Then Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it, and smote the high priest's servant, cut off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus." So, there we have, brethren and sisters, the polar opposites of drawing. Polar opposites, aren't they? And that is us, isn't it, brethren and sisters? At one moment, we can be doing the Lord's work, following his instructions, drawing people to the Lord Jesus Christ, having them hear God's word, and the next moment we're swinging our sword around, normally the sword of the tongue, fighting people away from the Lord and impairing their ability to hear. The ears off. And that is the dichotomy of discipleship, isn't it, brothers and sisters? That this is us. We go from doing this one minute to that the next. The mind of the flesh and the mind of the spirit, well-intentioned though it might have been. And that is us, like Simon Peter. Now, brothers and sisters, there were 2 things on that shore causing Simon some concern and some puzzlement. One of them we'll talk about in a moment. The other was the catch of fish. There were several puzzling things about that catch of fish that he needed to think about. So first of all, what would he have made of the number? That there were 153 fish. What about the fact that they were all great fish? There were no bad ones. What about the fact that they had all somehow been swimming on the right-hand side of the boat? Are these just random facts recorded? And what about the fact that the net didn't break when he'd seen the net break for less? And so 4 facts we have there, brothers and sisters, that Simon Peter needed to puzzle out and think about. Now, we know he was well familiar with the commission to be fishers of men and the sea of nations. But what about the right-hand side? Now, of course, from a fishing perspective, the side of the boat doesn't matter, does it, from a human perspective? Now, I say that with caution because I've never lifted a fishing rod in my life. They frighten me a bit, and I'm a bit concerned about how many fishing rods apparently are here this week. But I've never done it, but I imagine, please tell me if I'm wrong, and there is some departure from reality that I can't foresee, but surely it doesn't matter which side of the boat that you cast it on. Right, no immediate correction, good. So it must have a spiritual significance. If there's no material significance, then it must have a spiritual one, and of course it does. And I think particularly in this context is Matthew 25, that the accepted are found on the right-hand side. And also, the net didn't break. That means, brothers and sisters, that this picture that's being drawn is unlike the miracle in Luke 5, where the net did break, and fish presumably did get away. It's also unlike the parable in Matthew 13, where the fish that were caught were both good and bad. So it is unlike those. Now, those two previous records are about the gospel net in operation in this age, aren't they? Where fish do get away, where the net does break, where there are good and bad. But that is not what's being depicted here, because here those things don't happen. Here is a depiction of the final ingathering of the saints of all the ages, when they're all great. And perhaps that's reflected in the number 153. Now, the interpretation here that I favor, I'm aware that there are others, is that we know in Hebrew the phrase sons of God, Bene Ha-Elohim, in the Hebrew gematria, with each letter having a numerical value, they have been added up, and that phrase has the number 153. So it could be this is a picture of that final ingathering of the sons of God to the land of promise. And Peter draws, it's the apostolic work to bring the sons of God to the kingdom age. And so it's a wonderful picture then of the kingdom in John 21, isn't it? That the Lord is on the land, the risen Lord receiving his people to dine with him, a meal he has prepared, and that emphasized the fact that this was the Lord's work. He has already caught a fish, and it's already there in the land of promise. It's a kingdom vision that the Lord gives to them. And if that's right, if it is that, then it spoke of something else as well, didn't it? Something that would stick in Peter's mind, because when John told Peter it's the Lord, we know he wanted to go straight away, but he couldn't, could he? There was something that stopped even him from diving into the water straight away and leaping out. He had to do something first, didn't he? Unfortunately, he's in the boat working hard, but he doesn't have his garments on, we learn in verse 7. Now, we could multiply the references and the spiritual lessons of that. And that is also a fear for us, isn't it, brethren and sisters, that it just might be that when the Lord comes, we're not ready and we have to spend some time scrabbling around on the floor in the half light of day, trying to find something to get ready. And I think Peter would have learned from that too. The other item we mentioned on the beach that was there was this fire of coals that we read about, that the Lord has there by design. Now that word for the fire of coals only comes twice in Scripture. And we know, don't we, that it occurs in chapter 18. It is the fire of coals at which Peter denied his Lord. And so it reappears not by chance, but by design of the Lord, that here, what he said around the previous fire of coals is going to be revisited with him. And it's not the last time that an image from the denial night reappears in Peter's life. And so this scene then is recreated, and these thoughts, I think, might have been in Peter's mind. As he looked on that fire of coals, he would remember that it was in that context that he had said, I know not this man of whom ye speak, that he ended up cursing and swearing, saying, I don't know him. And also, which we would have looked at, but we shan't, in Matthew 26, when the Lord made this appointment with the disciples in Matthew 26, he told them that the shepherd will be smitten, but after I'm risen, I will go before you into Galilee. And what did Peter say? He said, though all shall be offended, I never will. That's in Matthew 26. So this appointment was made when the boast was made that he would never forsake the Lord where others would. So both of those items here are in Peter's mind as he looks at this fire of coals on Galilee. The scene is set. What about those words he'd said floating in the air? He'd shown there a false confidence, hadn't he? A trust in self. And it had been a pretty bad slight on his brothers, hadn't it, what he'd said? Well, the Lord then starts to ask him in verse 15, the series of questions that we're familiar with. And he starts by addressing him as Simon, son of Jonas. Lovest thou me more than these? Now, Jonas, of course, is his natural father, and being called the son of Jonas has to do with his natural descent. The old nature, with all its errors and dangers, because it was of the flesh, wasn't it, what he'd said? And the Lord is encouraging him that you need to come from that state, Simon, to being called Peter. And he asks him, lovest thou me more than these? Now, I think we well know that although the English here has the word love 6 times, they're not all translating the same Greek word of the record. And if you haven't got them in yet, now is an opportunity to get them in. And the word that the Lord uses here in his first question, do you love me more than these? It is the word agape. And we know about agape love, don't we? That it is a self-sacrificial love, that it transcends emotion. It's a comprehensive love, and it views things from God's viewpoint. It's choice-based. It's emotion-controlled and directed in one direction only, to the glory of God. And Peter is asked, do you have that love for me? Not only that, he says, do you have that love more than these? And that is an obvious reference to his previous boast that though all these be offended, I never will. Do you love me more than these? Now, what would your reply have been in the same situation? He says, yes, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. But as we know, he cannot use the word agape. And he uses, the Greek translation of the word anyway, is the word phileo, which speaks of a personal attachment, a warm affection for another. It's not an unworthy love. It's used for God's love for us and God's love for his Son, of the Son's love for us and our love for Christ. It's not an unworthy love, but it's not the same as the self-sacrificial love that agape involves. And so Peter says, yes, Lord, you know that I phileo love thee. He can't say agape, can you, brothers and sisters? Because that was what the Lord Jesus Christ showed when he laid down his life. And Peter learned that hard lesson that the love he had was more like a personal attachment in that situation where he didn't sacrifice himself. And he says, Lord, you know I have an affection for you. But he does something positive as well, because he drops more than these, doesn't he? He doesn't say, thou knowest that I love thee more than these. He recognizes that was wrong to say that others do love the Lord. And he leaves that out. He leaves it out. But that is not the end. A second question comes and then a third. And when you look at the questions of the Lord here, you notice that they are changing each time. They're 3 different, though related questions. That the second question is, lovest thou me? So the Lord drops more than these because Peter dropped more than these. Peter had said, no, I don't have it more than the others. So the Lord graciously doesn't press that point any further. The Lord's questions change because Peter's answers are informing how it's going. This is a conversation. It's not an inquisition. And the Lord changes what he says. He drops more than these. And then, of course, because Peter is changing the word for love, the Lord does as well, and finishes with, do you have that filial love for me that you say? And that is how the questioning goes. Now, what the Lord is doing here is making these questions less and less in weight, aren't they? It starts off with agape more than these, agape filio. It's getting less and less. And the Lord is drilling down to, what do you have, Peter? What is in your heart regarding that earlier claim that you made? And every time that foreboding recollection of the old nature, Simon, son of Jonas. that old nature. Now, Peter's replies doesn't change. His second reply, so the first reply was, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. He leaves out more than these. But his second reply is exactly the same as his first. It just repeats exactly what he'd said to the first question, still changing the Lord's word for love. But that highlights, doesn't it, that his honesty. He can't honestly say that. He has grown. He no longer boasts above the others. And he's appealing to Christ's knowledge of his heart. But it's the same answer twice. And then everything changes with the third question, because the Lord changes his third question when he says, lovest thou me with that filio love? And because he does that, it feels to Peter like a doubling up of the question, because to ask it like that, to say, do you have filio for me, when Peter has already said that he does twice, is to say, I don't believe you. Do you really? Do you really have it? And so Peter now, it says in verse 17, becomes grieved. He doesn't have anywhere to go now. And we can feel that with him, can't we? He knows the poverty he sees in his heart. Why is the Lord turning the screw like this? And it would show in every line of his face as he considered that question. Don't deny me that, Lord. You know I have a strong affection for you. I can't say agape because that's manifest not in what I say here, but in what I do. But you know that I have that affection for you. And that answer is quite different to his first two. Do you see the difference? Do you see the first thing he changes? He doesn't say yes. He doesn't start with yes, I do. Because he hasn't really been saying yes, has he, to each question, because he's been moderating what's being asked. And so now he stops saying yes, because he was adjusting the question. And he puts the answer with the Lord's all-encompassing knowledge, that he has a comprehensive knowledge of his heart. And that's what Peter wants to lean upon. He doesn't want to lean upon his own knowledge, his own understanding of himself. He says, Lord, you know everything. And it's your sense of judgment, it's your sense of insight, it's your sense of honesty that I look to, not my own. You tell me, Lord. And you see, Peter is coming lower and lower and lower each time until he has reached the level that the Lord wants him to be at, where he has done what the Lord did and emptied himself of self. Peter comes lower and lower. Now, the final point about this that's quite interesting to dig into, and I have gone quite fast, actually. That's 13 minutes to go, isn't it? Not 13 minutes in. 13 minutes to go. I went quite fast because they didn't tell us what happens to us if it goes past zero. And with my good cousin presiding for me, I don't want to find out. So I went a bit fast. But let's just look then at this final section with the commissions that Peter is receiving in response to his answers. Now, when we look at them in the English, again, they look like they're fairly similar commissions. Feed my lambs, feed my sheep. Feed my sheep, but they're all different in the Greek. The first commission that Peter is given is bosco, feed, provide food for the lambs, the arnion, the immature in the ecclesia who need maturity. The second commission is feed my sheep, and it's a different word to bosco for feed. It's the word poimeno, which is to shepherd, to govern. And it's no longer lambs, it's now mature sheep, probaton, the grown-up sheep, shepherd them. And then the final commission returns to the word bosco for feed those mature sheep. That's the highest calling, to encourage and exhort the mature brethren and sisters. And this is the commission that Peter is given, that the full-grown sheep are nevertheless to be treated tenderly like little lambs and fed. And his commission then, you see, brethren and sisters, gets greater and greater as Peter gets lower and lower. And that's the right convention of the Spirit of life in Christ Jesus, isn't it? His commission gets greater and greater. And this really then, brethren and sisters, sets an agenda for the Acts of the Apostles, doesn't it? That when we come to the Acts of the Apostles, we see Peter fulfilling these commissions. Particularly in chapters 1 to 4 of Acts, we see him bosco the arnion, feeding the lambs. And then as we get into chapters 5 and 6 and 9 and 10 and so on, we see more of a shepherding role of the sheep. Not that he leaves behind feeding the lambs, and we'll see this in our fourth study, that he is still feeding the lambs. He doesn't move on from one and leave it, but they are additional to what he is doing, and we will see him do that, shepherding the sheep. But does he ever get to that third rung, to feeding those mature sheep? And before we answer that, I just want to look at verse 18 here in John 21, because the Lord has something to say here about maturity in him. In verse 18, it says, "Verily, verily, I say unto thee, Peter, when thou wast young, thou girdest thyself, and walkest whither thou wouldest. But when thou shalt be old, thou shalt stretch forth thy hands, and another shall gird thee, and carry thee whither thou wouldest not." Now we know that verse 19 interprets that as signifying what death Peter would glorify God by. But there is also in that verse, isn't there, a message about maturity in Christ. Because girding yourself and going where you want, it's just a simple picture of youth, isn't it? Of the energy and the agency of youth. But also sometimes the self-centric outlook that comes with youth. You do what you want because you can. And the Lord tells Peter that in maturity, then that self-will is resigned to the leading of others, and in particular to the leading of the Lord, who himself said, "Not my will, but thine be done," to holding out our hands and being willing that he guide us where we go in our ecclesial work, in our lives, that it's no longer what I want to do, but what the Lord wants to do with us. And so when he became mature, he would be led in that way. And that's exactly the spirit that Peter later urges upon the believers, that they should do the same. Now, come with me, final reference here to 1 Peter chapter 5, because we had that question, whether Peter ever got to that. Did he ever get to feeding the sheep, the mature sheep, in the way that the Lord wanted him to? And when we read in 1 Peter 5, verse 1, Peter writes, "The elders," now those then are the probaton, the mature sheep, "the elders which are among you, I exhort." Right, so he's there, isn't he? He is feeding, he's exhorting the mature sheep, "who am also an elder." I have matured in the way that the Lord outlined for me in that verse in John 21. And he passes on his first two commissions, doesn't he? In verse 2, to them he says, "Feed the flock of God which is among you, taking the oversight thereof, not by constraint, but willingly, not for filthy lucre, but of a ready mind." And there's a lot he says here, but just to notice that he also picks up the word that the Lord used in John 21 about being younger. Because he says in verse 5 here, "Likewise, ye younger," same word from John 21. Clearly that passage is here meant to be in mind. "Submit yourselves." Aim for that spirit that resigns self-will to the leading of the Lord, to submitting to others taking you where you are to be. "Submit yourselves unto the elder, yea, all of you be subject one to another, and be clothed with humility." You're young. When you're young, you can dress yourself. But when you are young, he says, better to be clothed in humility. For, he says, after long experience at the end of verse 5, "For God resists the proud and gives grace to the humble. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time." And so it is that as a mature brother, a mature Peter, as mature as he becomes, he is still a sheep. He is still learning and being guided by, verse 4, "the chief shepherd. When the chief shepherd shall appear, he shall receive a crown of glory that fades not away." And he saw that when the Lord spoke of his death. And so he will continue doing that following. And all of that work, for all of that shepherding, for all of the great commission that Peter was given, and we'll look in more detail as we progress in our studies at all that Peter was to do for his Lord. In all of that, he was still a sheep following his master. And that's reflected in those final words that the Lord gave him in John 21. What was the final thing he said to Peter before ending that great lesson? The final words were in John 21, verse 19. When he had spoken this, so all of this, all that we've just been through, he said to him, "Follow me, follow the chief shepherd. For all the work of shepherding, Peter, you are still a sheep. And the key? Walk where I walk. Listen to my words. Act at my commands. Whatever you're doing, whatever we're doing in ecclesial life, think, what does the Lord think? What does the Lord say? Has he given us guidance? Because in that is success for him. Follow me. Walk where I walk. Peter, others will follow your lead. So make sure they see a brother, a shepherd, who himself is following me and walking where I walk."
Don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Drop a comment in the comment section and let us know what you thought, and make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. Please share it and spread the word. Thanks for watching, and remember to come back soon.